Hi, this is Kym Watson of Easy Trader. This is a review for the coming month of October. Okay, looking, actually I should really look at where I said things would go last month first and look at the euro I suggested would sell off, which it sold off pretty much right the way through the month, leading, well, very much all the way through the month. The pound, we were looking for a sell-off up till the news. It got a bit of a bounce just prior to the news, bought into the news, sold off into the news actually, and we've seen a sell-off since that period. Was expecting perhaps a bit more of a rally from there, but the economic numbers are starting to come out, and particularly we've seen them in the early part of this week, early part of this month rather, as not being particularly setting the world alight, and if anything we seem to be plateauing a little bit. The other figure I gave was for the dollar yen, and we was looking at the 110 area, and we got to the 110 area probably a day later than expectation there. We actually we got to the 110 area on the 1st of October, so these sort of areas were hit. So where to this month then? Let's come back to the euro first. And what we've got at the moment is this sort of pipe bottom area here. You've got this sort of sell-off bar, next day bounce back up, and it's really followed the same track. Now, one would suggest, and you look at this, we've missed the monthly pivot for the last 2 months, and it's unusual to miss the monthly pivot for such a long period. I can't remember a time when we missed 3 months in a row, but all stats are there to be broken. And this one could be another one, but we are struggling as we're pushing towards this monthly pivot at the moment, but we are quite extended away from the key moving averages, the 21, 34, 50. We're quite away, quite extended from these, and there is the chance of a bit more of a bounce here. Of course, as I'm recording this, we've got the FOMC minutes to come out later today, and it's expected they may take a bit of a hawkish tone. If they do, we could see yet another sell-off in the euro. Now, if it doesn't sell off, that may in itself show some signs of strength and could see us moving further up. Now, the euro economy as a whole is certainly not out of the woods. It's in fact, we know with all the different attempts by the ECB to try and create more liquidity into the markets and try and get some more growth, it's really taken some time to actually filter through, and more measures may yet be necessary, which all in all really puts more downward pressure on the euro. Now, as I say, if the factors and the data comes out today and it's not particular and it's hawkish and the euro still holds up, well, that would bode well for it to possibly push back towards its daily 50, certainly to the pivot first. I'd be looking at it around that pivot area just to see whether it's a little bit overbought in the short term, and maybe use that as an initial shorting point personally, but I'll look at how it comes up to it. What I'm seeing now, I'm just going to come down, I don't normally do this for a monthly chart, but monthly review, but I'm just looking at these 4-hour charts, and particularly when you come down to an hourly, it really is struggling around this sort of area here. These highs, yesterday's highs, it's really struggling at the moment, and there is a bit of a trend sort of appearing along the bottom of this level, which if broken could see us running down, but as I say, that's pretty short term for what I'm trying to do here. So let's stick with the dailies for a moment, and in fact let's just go to my plain chart and look at the bigger picture. And when I come out to the monthly charts here, what I'm seeing is I mean, we had the good sell-off. I'd say a good sell-off. We had the sell-offs throughout September. We could go in, hit the pivot. I think it's around about 128 sort of area. We could hit that pivot and then roll over and come back towards these lows. And any break of these current lows would certainly suggest that could be on the cards. Not particularly oversold yet on the monthlies, and even when we do get to oversold, we can stay there for a while anyway. So, as I say, there is a chance of that further continuation, but short term, the bounce may be there. Looking then at the pound dollar, and let's have a look at the dailies before we look any further. And it's sort of similar action, but it didn't quite make it up from the bottoms there. It didn't quite make it all in a day. It's more consolidating in the very short term phases. cable at the moment, but again it's got its monthly pivot there, and it's missed it for the last couple of months, and you just think, well, perhaps the dollar index has had such a good run, we could see some reversals here and these currencies running up. Now looking then at the bigger time frames and looking at the monthlies, we sort of sat into some sort of support last month into 21. We've just come through. There's the 34 and the 50 sitting there at the moment, and we're just sitting on those monthly key moving averages. Now it's whether or not it can manage to pull out. Now the UK fundamentally is in a slightly better position than Europe rather. So it may, as I say, may manage to pull out. The thing to bear in mind is a lot of our business goes to Europe and the US, and if their economies aren't particularly chirpy or picking up well, we could see a follow through and a lag in within the UK. As I say, I think with some of the figures we've seen, we've already seen some sort of plateauing. So at the moment, from a monthly point of view, it does look like it's may have found a bit of support. We have got extended. I'm just looking at a weekly chart here, and it would just run through and broken its weekly 200 there on cable, but managed to pull back up at the moment. Is how well, and there's a decent trend line that's sort of sitting down on these weeklies here, and I think if you can break that weekly trend line, well, maybe we could have the further upside and go into the weekly 50 and have a more decent retrace. But at the moment, these markets may be struggling. Now we are pretty oversold. And have been oversold from a weekly perspective on the pound dollar there. So again, it may just give it the chance of moving up towards the pivot. But I think today's data may give us a bigger clue as to current or future direction, at least for the next few days. Looking ahead, then, let's have a look at the dollar yen. Now dollar yen, we'll look at it at a daily perspective first. It has actually just managed to come back and hit its monthly pivot, so it's achieved something, at least statistically. There was some signs of weakness as we rallied into the 1st of October. As we rallied into those highs, there was a bit of signs of weakness with some divergence running on. At the moment, it's it's finding a bit of support where it stands, but it could come back lower. There's a sort of mixed views in Japan now. The Prime Minister is concerned that the low or the high exchange rates now are affecting business for small, medium companies. The Bank of Japan are enjoying the fact that things are starting to get in shape from the bigger picture. So there is conflict between the two camps here. And I think the Prime Minister may win sometimes, so we just got to watch that and watch what happens here. Now, from a weekly perspective, currently in the current week, we've broken last week's lows there, and it may be that we just managed to recover some of this ground. But my longer term picture still really is quite bearish for the yen, so bullish on the dollar yen. And we could still be pushing much further up. We could be pushing up further to these prior highs even at some point in the next few months. But for now, as I say, we could be just in the shorter term frames, the weekly time frames, daily time frames, we're really sort of pointing at the potential for a bit more downside. Okay, I'll finish off with the Aussie dollar, then we'll have a quick look at gold. Aussie dollar. Let's come away from that and look at where we are on a chart with some pivots on that. Again, the Aussies had performed pretty well. It underperformed in September for me, but it's just the way that the market was taking the Aussie. It does have a tight allegiance to China, and if China is slowing, the Aussie will reflect this, and this is what we've really seen, along with internal concerns of the continued or potential growth there. Now, short term, very similar to cable in terms of it didn't quite manage to do the pipe bottom here, but it's again struggling to break these highs here. If we can see these highs taken out, where we could rally right the way back up to that monthly pivot, and we are extended again from it's the same picture in terms of extensions away from the 50s, 34s here on the dailies. Looking at the weeklies then, and we've sort of bounced off some prior lows there. Last week we came down to some previous lows from, when was that? That was January 2014. So right back into that sort of level, having a bit of a bounce at the moment in the current week. Let's look on the monthly charts here, showing much the same thing here. If it can hold here, it looks like we could, as I say, get more of a bounce. Oops, sorry, wrong chart. We could get more of a bounce. Still wrong chart. Let's bring the dailies back into play, get more of a bounce. But certainly we could. As I say, today I think we're seeing, whilst I'm recording this, we've got the FMC minutes out, and everything is rather slow from that point of view. Okay, let's have a quick look at gold. There's gold bugs out there. And from a daily perspective, again, you can see that it's a similar picture of everything else here, with the dollar having gained so much strength over the last month or so. The gold had been sold off. It is having a slightly better time of things at the moment. It's broken yesterday's highs already, and continuing to push its way up towards its monthly pivot. How far further from there? Well, we could make the 34.50s. But again, the gold in the bigger picture may still look like it's got the potential downside. I mean, it had come into a whole group of lows here on this monthly. Let me just pop the trend line on there. You see we'd run into a whole series of lows there, and it's found support again, but it's a sort of third pip. If it can't hold this, well, then we could, as I say, be off for further downside here. It's down below all its key moving averages. It had quite a strong move down. If this week can close up higher than last week, well, that would give us a bullish engulfing, which would suggest perhaps we got a bit more of a sustainable rally on a potential. It has been oversold here. Again, you could be drawing trend lines down the lows here, and watch for the breaks of here. But as I say, on the short term, really is where we're looking at the potential for it to run up to that monthly pivot and maybe slightly ahead. Again, FOMC today could have quite an effect on gold. So I think 7 o'clock meeting, or minutes rather, may just give us a bit more guidance for the outlook in the next couple of weeks. Okay, that's it for me. Hope you have a great month. Bye for now.